It's gonna
Yeah.
be,
Yeah. Hello there, and welcome to a Skyrim 1080s leveling up to level 3 and a little bit of character creation as well with Victor in his IRL D&D game.
hello.
And we have our other guest joining us today.
Hey, Colin, how's it going?
Yeah, no introduction needed.
Meow.
So it's as Victor just said before we went on there. It's just an informal chat. There's no real sort of like structure to the podcast. It's just going to be us talking. Well, there is a slight structure as in alphabetical, if we can remember the alphabet, and going through what some of our characters can do and what it means for them leveling up to level 3. Due to scheduling issues, two of our players can't be here. In Andrew and Botty, and Pat and Luke can't be with us, but we'll pass this on to them, and then the next time we record, which will hopefully be sometime in March, the next session of Skyrim 10 AD, they'll all be caught up, and they'll be experts when we start up again. So, did you guys enjoy your let's see, little holiday I think we had? Oh no, wait, that was me. I did not enjoy my little holiday. 2 days into it, my PC
I'm so
broke.
sorry about that. That really sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Thanks for your advice, Ray. I with the new one, with the new laptop, that was like a stroke of brilliance right there. That just like, hey man, just get a laptop with these specs, and then you can. It was awesome bit of inspiration there. So I've got that, and then I made a recovery USB for the desktop from this, and no, still nothing. Managed to go through to the recovery part on the desktop to try and sort of like fix it up with that USB, but now it keeps on saying that it failed, but your files haven't been changed. Oh well, that's awesome. I can't get to them, but at least they're still the same as when I left them.
That's really weird. I wonder if that is related to the Windows updates, because I know a lot of people have been having trouble with this with the latest update. I had a little bit of a scary thing, but it didn't develop into what yours did.
Yeah, I think it could be because I've got was it AMD, and then I made the recovery USB with because my new laptop has got the Intel, so I don't know whether that had anything to do with it. It's supposed to be all Windows 10, so it should be fine, but
who knows? You could always take the hard drive out of your desktop, stick it into a drive reader, and at least grab stuff off of it onto your laptop that you need, and then just completely rebuild Windows. With a new hard drive, I suppose you could try that.
Yeah. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with it now. I'll have a look. I might see if I can take it in somewhere and see if how much they would charge me for having a look-see at it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But that's not the story we're here to tell. So we're going to be starting off with some insight into leveling up. And we're going to start off, as I said, alphabetically with the Bard. And Botty is the MP, well, not the PC that Andrew plays, a young Bosmer female, and she is a Bard, and she's just reached level 3. So she gets so if you look at the Bard table here, the things that she gets at level 3 is that she gets to know an extra spell. So now she knows a total of 6 spells, and 4 at first level and 2 at second level. It's the first time they're going to come across second level spells. And they also get to choose, or he gets to choose, which Bard college they go to. And they also get expertise. As I was saying to Victor just a little while ago, is that the Bard is they have this feature called Jack of all trades, and they really are. They get a little bit from everybody. So they get like healing they can do, like a cleric does. They get expertise, which is what a rogue has. They get loads of little which we call it bonus actions and things like that. So they've got a lot of versatility. And going on to Bard colleges, there's 2. And we're starting off with the College of Lore. And I went like that because everybody thought I was talking law the last time. And the College of Valor, or Valor, if you're pretentious. But that's the only 2 that they get, but they're drastically different in certain ways. Which, obviously, with College of Lore, it's more knowledge based, sort of like, you use your voice. You get the thing called cutting words. So when you're in a combat situation, or not actually, Botti can inspire her friends and sort of like fellow companions. But with College of Lore, she also would get cutting words. Whereas that you use your wit to distract or cue, so that's confidence. When a creature you can see within 60 feet of you makes an attack roll, you can use your reaction to expend 1 usage of your bardic inspiration, and subtracting the number of rolled from the creature's roll. So basically, it just says if I've rolled like a 15 to attack Botti or even attack anybody else. Is it anybody else? When a creature that you can see with this makes a attack roll, an ability check, or damage roll, you can use that to expend the uses. Yeah, so it's anyone. So if it's attacking anybody in themselves or anybody in the party, they could have used cutting words and then roll the die and subtract that number. So if they rolled a 15 and they to attack, and she rolls sort of like a 6, you can drop it all the way down to 9. And therefore more than likely missing everything that attacks. So that's how College of Lore acts. And they also get bonus proficiencies, which you gain proficiency with 3 skills of your choice.
Wow.
So that's a lot. So she can then be proficient in like Arcana and Persuasion, which I think she already is. I think she's proficient in Persuasion and Insight. I'll have to check Botti's thing, but she's proficient in quite a few things, and then she can add like another 3 of them. So that way, so you could be able to sort of like, no matter what situation she comes across, you can always add like a little bit of insight, whether it be history or religion or Arcana. She can always add like, find out some information. But I think from talking to Andrew before, he's going to go with the College of Valor.
Really? Wow, that surprises me.
So with you get bonus proficiency with College of Valor, and that was when you join the Volunteer. You gain proficiency with medium armor, shields, and martial weapons. So that's quite a lot of learning.
Like a cleric, then, right? Sort of more cleric side of things, yeah.
So
and it fits well with the story of Body's story because, according to this, the Bard's College of Valor are daring skalds whose tales keep alive the memories of great heroes of the past.
Yes.
Okay, I guess that makes some more sense. I guess I was thinking College of Lore should be for the same reason, but I guess this makes more. It does make more sense reading it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Botti's more trying to follow in the Dragonborn's footsteps more than just spreading spreading songs, going into bars and singing, and then going to the college and sitting there and learning. I think she's more about following in his footsteps and sort of like echoing what he's done.
So she's like a DB wannabe then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
I think that would suit her down to the ground, and she gets some great stuff, as I said. So she can switch up to medium armor, which means that she offers a little bit more protection, but that she can also still go into sneak and stealth without fear of disadvantage, like with Luke with his heavy armor, and gets shields, which is always good. Having a shield, instant +2 to your armor class. You can't argue with that. And then she'll get combat inspiration, which also at 3rd level you learn to inspire others in battle. A creature that has a bardic inspiration die from you can roll that die and add the number rolled to a weapon damage roll it just made. So if you rolled a crit, a natural 20, so you definitely know that you've hit the creature, then instead of using the bardic inspiration to see if to try to add to see if you've hit, you can add it to the damage roll. And seeing as a critical strike, you double all the dice. You would roll that you'd roll that damage die an extra time twice. So you get, twice the damage even on that one, as well as the twice the damage on the critical strike from your proficiencies and damage from your weapon. Let's see. Alternatively, when an attack roll is made against the creature, it can use its reaction to roll the bardic inspiration die and add the number rolled to its AC against that attack. After seeing the roll, but before knowing whether it hits or misses. But you would know your own armor class, so you would always know whether it hits or misses. So basically what that means is that when an attack roll is just made... alternatively, when an attack roll is made against the creature, it can use its reaction to roll the bardic. So again, if you have the inspiration die and somebody rolls to attack you and they roll, rolls a 10 and your armor class is 11. So you don't know if this person has a +2 or a +3 to hit, so that means it'll definitely hit. You see the roll, you could roll your inspiration die, and if you get a 6 on that and drop it all the way down to 5, then that will increase your AC, so it stops it from hitting. So that's very, very handy, especially if she doles out. I think she still has the same amount of bardic inspirations. Yes, just an increased bardic inspiration until 5th level.
Yeah, that's what I'm just looking. So
it changes to that just changes it to a D8. So what's bardic inspiration? I can't find bardic inspiration. Where are you? Oh, there it is. When it's good at 60 feet, the creature says so once and 10 minutes.
it doesn't say anything about changing for level. Oh wait.
So you can use this feature a number of times equal to your charisma modifier.
Oh yeah, so yeah, she would have to increase her because she has 3, I believe, +3 to her charisma at the moment.
It eventually goes to a D12 at like 15th level or something like that. So.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's what's that in percentage that's like a 50% increase in chance of a higher roll or something like that. I don't know how dice work that way.
Yeah.
100% increase. I don't know. Starts at a D6 and goes to a D12.
Yeah, so that's you can get double the thing. And then was it one of what people are always looking for? It seems is it would be down the line, but starting at 6th level, she would get an extra attack. So once you get to that stage, then it's attack and then another attack. And then like if she wants to, she can use a bonus action to inspire somebody, or deal out a healing word or something like that. So I believe that's what Andrew said that he was looking at most of all, because the use of martial weapons, just because I think he wants to get a warhammer. But yeah, he wants to get a 2-handed warhammer. Knowing Andrew.
Oh yeah,
indeed.
So, and was it level 2 spells for a bard? And I just want to quickly run through. We won't go in depth in every single one, but I just wanted to quickly go through level 2 spells for a bard. And, some of them look like they're going to be quite helpful. See if my phone would work. Spell lists, bard spells. And level 2. So animal messenger, blindness and deafness. So basically blind somebody or deafen them. Calm emotions, detect thoughts. I don't know where to go that way. Or he will go that way. Enhance ability, which it's probably helpful if you're, I would say, a wizard and you have access to a lot of spells, I would say. But seeing as she's going to only have access to 2 level 2 spells and she can't change them until she levels up again, she's got to be... Because with... I forgot her name. With Pat and Luke, Luke can change his spells after a long rest, so he can look at his list and then pick and choose what he needs for the next day, for the rest of the day. Whereas with bards, they get access to their spells and they choose that one and they have that for that entire level. If they want to change it out, they've got to do it next time they level up. So you level for a while. So detect thoughts, enhance ability, enthrall, heat metal, which is exactly what it sounds like. Hold person is definitely a one to think about. Invisibility, another one to think about. Knock is basically taking Mouse's job away from him. That allows you to open and lock things magically. Lesser restoration, which is basically to cure diseases and curses and things, which we already learned about. Locate animals and plants. Locate object. Magic mouth, which is basically you leave a mouth somewhere and it'll, when a trigger walks past it, it will activate the spell and it'll say something. Which again, I don't think it'd be helpful to have just that for an entire level. See invisibility. Shatter, which is a thunderous attack. It's basically, you know, like Luke's thunder wave.
Mhm.
It's like that, but it's got greater range, and you can specify whereabouts it happens. So you can point to the place, and then it just, from that particular point and in a certain radius, it just explodes in a thunderous roar and does damage to everything in the area. Silence is what we all know would magically what silence would mean, would be silence a creature, so they can't cast spells in this particular area. Especially, well, only spells that would need a verbal component, which is like 99% of them. If there's silence in the area, you can't hear anything. You can't, when you say anything, no matter what you do, you don't make any noise. Suggestion is basically suggest somebody and try and like use illusion to take control of the mind. And then zone of truth is the last one there. Is again, you create an area and then everybody inside the area who doesn't pass the ability check has to tell the truth if they answer, if they so choose to answer. So you can, if you're inside the zone, you can refuse to answer. But obviously, if you're refusing to answer, it's kind of like, you know, leading that you're that you don't want to say the truth because it's pretty damning. But there's some good ones there to think about, and again, helpful for a bar. But then again, the thing of not being able to change the spell until their next level, you know, they've got to choose very wisely. So after that, we have over to the very next page, cleric. Is there anything you guys wanted to say about bards, or anything that you wanted to know?
No, at this point, not for me anyway. At this point, I mean, they're powerful but fairly simple, right? I mean, they, in other words, well, yeah, right.
I'm just thinking if she goes to college, maybe she'll learn a song other than Ragnar the Red.
Yeah, I don't know. The College of Valor, man. I mean, you know, that's Ragnar the Red, right? Even though he got his head chopped off.
Okay, so moving on to cleric and our good friend Pat, who is a little under the weather today. Hopefully he feels a lot better. Best of wishes, Pat. And Luke. So Luke, basically all he gets at level 3 is access to, he gets 1 extra first level spell, and he gets access, he gets 2 level 2 spells. So far, the thing about Pat's character is that I rolled like a monster when I was creating him. So he's got like 19 strength and 18 constitution, 15 wisdom and stuff like that. So he's a fucking beast. But with the spells that he gets access to, some of them are kind of the same as what Butty would have. But let's see, spell list, cleric spells. The good thing about being a cleric is that once he prays for an hour after or before he finishes a long rest, no, after he finishes a long rest, he can sort of like choose and have those spells ready for the rest of the day. So if you come across a certain situation that would require him to have the spell locate object, you could stop in a certain place and not move and not continue the story of going into a different place. He will have a long rest, wake up the next morning, meditate, and then sort of like commune with Kine, and she would grant him the use of the spell locate object so he can use it for that day and sort of like cast it to sort of like find something that he's looking for. So let's see, he's got aid, which I believe is duration lasts for 8 hours. Your spell boosters your allies with toughness and resolve. Choose up to 3 creatures, and each target's hit point maximum and current hit points is increased by 5 for the duration. No, I didn't actually know of that one. Augury, again, I have no idea what that is.
Telling the future of some kind, I guess.
Yeah, so the specific course of action you take within the next 30 minutes, the GM chooses the following possible omens: wheel for good results, woe, wheel, and woe results nothing. So, again, he gets blindness or deafness, calm emotions, continual flame, which I think that's a particular place where you can cast it. Yeah. It's like a magical torch. You can just put it up there, and it just continuously burns like a torch. And it remains there until it's dispelled. So he could put it in a dungeon, set it off, and it would burn for the next 100 years or whatever. Enhance ability again, which is sort of like you can enhance somebody so they can have like better dexterity or better strength, better things and things. Find traps, again stealing jobs from mouse, and gentle repose, hold person, lesser restoration, which is what you used in the last session. Locate object, prayer of healing, which is helpful. That means it's a spell that takes 10 minutes to cast, but everybody in the area heals.
Oh, that's nice.
If all of you are slightly damaged, he can sit there and then for 10 minutes do a prayer of healing, just constantly talking to Kine and praying. And I think then he rolls a d6 or something and adds his wisdom modifier.
That could be difficult in the middle of a battle or something, though, right? I mean, we basically take him out of the fight.
Yeah, but he would cast it at if you're doing loads of little fights. So you go into a room and there's like 3 Draugr in there, and two you get hit, but the other one doesn't. You continue the fight, and then when the fight's over, then he does prayer of healing.
Okay.
And then, or you go through 3 rooms like that, and then you're sort of like you're around about the 25 mark, but you're down to between 9 and 15 hit points each. Then you can do prayer of healing, and everybody gets a bit of healing from one spell. Protection from poison, silence, spiritual weapon. Spiritual weapon is very nice. Basically, he creates a weapon 20 feet away from him, and then that weapon he can attack with. So he could create a magical sword that floats in the air, or a magical mace that floats in the air, and he creates that, and then he attacks himself, and then after that, every bonus action he can use a spiritual weapon to attack as well. so he can get 2 attacks. So spiritual weapon is something I've seen in Critical Role quite a lot. Warding bond. I'm not sure what that means. You touch a person. Spell wards a woodland creature you touch and creates a mystic connection between you and the target on the spell ends. While the target is within 60 feet of you, it gains a +1 bonus to AC and saving throws. It has resistance to all damage. Wow. Also, each time it takes damage, you take the same amount of damage. The spell ends if you drop to 0 hit points or if you or the target become separated by more than 60 feet. It also ends if the spell is cast again on either of the connected creatures. That's nice. So if you guys had like an escort mission or something like that, he could cast that on somebody, and then if they got attacked by a wolf, they would have resistance to piercing damage, so they only take half damage, but Pat would take that damage as well. Very nice. And he also gets Zone of Truth. Yeah. Pat's going to have a lot of fun, but I think Pat knows what he's doing. He says he's going to send me something when he has a good look at it. But I don't think there's much else there for us to look at with Cleric, unless there's anything you wanted to ask or.
Not at this point. Maybe in a little while if we go back to Cleric. It's a pretty complex character build. I mean, there's lots of domains to choose from, and
I think the main thing is definitely the domain you go with, like what your relationship with your deity is, because that can. It helps with, obviously with battles, so because it determines which spells you get from that particular domain. Like nature domain gets you commune with animals and that sort of stuff, or talk to plants. Or if you go with the light domain, you get fire damaging spells, so you get firebolt and fairy fire and stuff like that. But also heavily with the RPG, with the role-playing side of it. So it depends on what relationship you're going to have with your deity, basically your DM, and how that's going to progress throughout the game.
I see. Okay.
So you'd really want, if you're going with a cleric, you really want to talk with your DM about who you see your deity as being, and sort of what your relationship with that person is.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's all right.
No, I have for the cleric that I'm going to build, I have a pretty good idea of. I mean, I intend to use the nature domain, but so when you pick a domain, you automatically get one spell or one or two spells depending on your level.
Yes,
and that's over and above the cantrips and spells, or is that when you look at the cleric chart there? Yes. First level cleric gets 2 spells, 2 first level spells.
That's that's spell slots.
Spell slots.
So you can still only cast 2 spells. But as I remember I was saying earlier, that after a long rest, Pat can or Luke can sit down and then sort of pick which spells he can do. But he can sort of make it depending on his modifier, which I believe is +3 on his wisdom. I think it's +3. That means he can have was it 8 +3? So he can have 8 spells. I think it is. No, it's his cleric level and his wisdom modifier. So he could choose 6 spells and have those 6 spells prepared for that whole day. So he can only cast those 6 spells from the list. But you also, without having to prepare them, have your domain spells. So you will always have those spells prepared. They won't take away from that 6 you have in the list.
I see.
So
6 you're talking about is at 3rd level, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So with you, you'd get animal friendship and speak with animals. Excuse me. Sorry. At level 1 for a nature domain cleric.
Right.
And then at third level, they will receive bark skin and spike growth. Because actually, I didn't talk about that, did I?
No.
Oh, with
So he does get
Tempest.
those.
Yeah, so with Tempest Domain, which is the domain Luke is joined to, he gets Gust of Wind and Shatter.
There it is.
That spell I was telling you about earlier on, that's similar to his
Thunderclap.
Thunder Wave. Yeah.
Yeah, Thunderwave. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So now he has 3 very fairly powerful AOE spells, right? Those are those all, or no, Shatter may. I don't know what Shatter is, but Gust of Wind sounds like a
The Gust of Wind is exactly as it sounds. It's basically like I'm trying to think. You can use it. I don't know whether you could use it in combat, but you know the cloud that was created in your last battle.
Mhm.
He could use Gust of Wind, and he could blow all of that cloud to the opposite end of the room.
Oh, nice.
The only problem is it was in a sealed room, so I would kind of look like, well, you blow it in that way, and then it just bounces off the wall and then comes back at you.
Yeah.
But if it was in an open area and somebody there's a spell, it's pretty high level, but it's like Cloud Kill, and it's basically someone's like a fireball, so it has like a 20-meter radius, but it stays there. So if anybody stays inside that cloud, they just continuously take poison damage. He could use Gust of Wind to blow all that poison damage away from a certain area.
Nice.
So, with that done, we can move down to the monk. Or is it a ranger next?
Well, who's a ranger?
No, it's just because I saw a ranger and I'm flicking through the book. What have I got here?
Yeah, well, monk would be next.
There we go.
Alphabetically. Yeah.
And so
There we are.
we have with the monk. Let me get to the table at level 3. So at level 1, Jiquai didn't have any key points, but he did have unarmored defense and martial arts. So with unarmored defense, that means you get you can add your dexterity modifier to your AC, wasn't that?
Yeah.
So you add your AC equals 10 plus your dexterity modifier plus your wisdom modifier. So if you're wise and nimble, and I believe you're what was it? You're 17, isn't it?
Now I'm up to 25 for my armor class.
Is 10 plus dexterity modifier.
So 17 is the base because I have plus 4 dexterity and plus 3 wisdom.
Yeah, so that would be 10. So that would be 17.
Yep.
Because you don't add proficiencies to that,
right?
And then you also had martial arts. So at first level, that means you can use dexterity instead of strength for the attack damage on your deck rolls. And see, I think you've got like a +1 to your strength and then a +4 to your dexterity. So you always add your dexterity to your damage rolls, don't you?
Yeah, I've got a -1 strength.
Oh wow! Yeah.
I always use dex.
Yeah, and when you use an attack with an unarmed strike or a monk weapon, you can also use a short sword as well, can't you? Because that's classed as a monk weapon. So if you pick up a short sword or a staff, you can wield those as a monk weapon, but they would have a damage of a d6. But you could still be able to do the extra attack with your offhand as the bonus attack. Even if you're wielding a weapon, it doesn't always have to be your claws, but who would want to do Plague of Jeek without using your claws?
Exactly. And since it's the same, I just don't have to carry anything around.
Yeah. And after that, the next level, when you got to level 2, you got key points and unarmored movement, which was basically you, instead of a 30 feet movement, you get a 40-foot movement, which is pretty badass if you're up against one creature, another medium creature that has the same pace as pretty much everything else, which is 30 feet. So if you're up against a bandit, you can literally just kiting. You can just kite them, so you can run in 30 foot, run right up to them, attack them once with your short sword, and hopefully you'll hit. You do d6 worth of damage, and then you can use your bonus action to disengage. Then you run 40 feet away. Then they got to run 30 feet and get right up to you, and then they're still 10 foot away, so they can't get in melee with you. And you just continuously do that, which will be helpful. And that increases not pretty soon. 6th level, so you're a bit away. But now we're at 3rd level, and this is monastic tradition and deflect missiles. So deflect missiles we'll go through first, which is it went through a bit in the last session,
right?
And starting at 3rd level, you can, if you've got it there, you can say it.
So I can use a reaction to deflect or catch a missile. So a dart, an arrow, a throwing knife, anything that's thrown at me, I can either deflect it or take a chance on catching it, and then also roll again to throw it back.
Yeah. So was it when it's thrown, range over attack, you do so. You take from the attack, it reduced by 1d10 plus your dexterity modifier plus your monk level. So you're already starting off at 7, and you roll a d10. So you roll a d10, and then add 7 to that, and then you remove all of that from the damage of what this missile will do. If that reduces the damage to 0, you can catch the missile, so the arrow, you can catch it in midair. And then if you want to, only if you've reduced it to 0 and you've caught it, you could then spend 1 key point to make a ranged attack with that weapon or piece of ammunition as part of the same reaction. And then you can throw it back at them, and you have proficiency, and it counts as a monk weapon. But it's only got a range of 20 feet and 60 feet. So if you're throwing it at somebody within 20 feet of you, then it's a straight roll. But if it's further than that, then you're rolling at disadvantage to attack with that. So I'd be careful of sometimes using that.
Right.
If it's you find out somebody's shooting a poison arrows at you or something like that, then it will probably definitely be worth it, because you'll be getting your damage, the arrows damage, and the poison damage all at one thing. But if it's literally, if you can just stop somebody from hitting you with an arrow and doing 10 points of damage, then that might be good enough. And then you can use your reaction either to get out of the way or get up close and stuff like that.
Right.
And let's see. Then you get monastic tradition. So we have a few of those. So we have the Way of the Open Hand, and we have Way of Shadow, and a Way of the 4 Elements. I believe it's just those 3. Yes, just those 3. So did you have any idea on which one you wanted to choose?
Oh yeah, no, open hand, and that was quite clever the way that you laid that out. I almost didn't get it, and it was when you basically lit me on fire. I think that I realized, oh crap, this is the 4 elements. And so then I put 2 and 3 together, and
sorry about that.
figured out that the forest was the way of the shadow, and the master was the way of the open hand. And I had wanted way of the open hand all along, because that's, I mean, my character is, the character from Kung Fu. So he's searching a foreign land for his brother.
And he's what I like about and the way you've portrayed him so far is that he is like, although he likes using stealth a lot, he is very straightforward. He walks out there in sort of like front and then goes, I'm going to kill that, and then he sort of like just kills that. He's not sort of like I don't know how to describe it, but it fits.
And the one time that I died was because I broke from that. And left myself open and took the beating and learned that'll never happen again.
Yeah, after you'd done some damage to him. Was it Broto? It was.
Yeah.
You'd done some damage to him, and he was like, "Yeah, no, I can't let this guy carry on. I've got to take him down." And then sort of like actually, he was thinking about running away, but he had to get you out of the way because he knew how fast you were, because he seen you sort of like sprinting right across the other side of the room. So, so the way of the open hand is that the way of the open hand, they have the ultimate masters of martial arts combat, whether armed or unarmed. They learn techniques to push and trip their opponents, manipulate ki to heal damage to their bodies, and practice advanced meditation that can protect them from harm. Starting when you choose a tradition at 3rd level, you can manipulate your enemy's ki when you harness your own. Whenever you hit a creature with one of the attacks granted by your flurry of blows, so when you attack with your normal attack, you can't use this feature. You can only use it when you've done go to use your bonus action and a key point, and you use flurry of blows. So those 2 attacks you get from flurry of blows, you can use this feature. You can impose one of the following effects on the target. It must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or be knocked prone. It must make a strength saving throw. If it fails, you can push it up to 15 feet away from you. 3, it can't take reactions until the end of your next turn. Now, that's not underlined, but I think it should be, is that it can't take reactions until the end of your next turn. So you can have your turn right in front of it, and then if you remove its reactions, you can step away from it without incurring an opportunity attack.
Right. And everybody else in the party can move in, take a hit, and back away without the enemy having any reaction.
Yeah, because you don't just remove it, taking reactions just against you. You just remove its reaction. So basically, you walk it and you wind it. You hit it in the solar plexus, or you get in underneath the ribs. Excuse me. And you just hit a nerve cluster. And just sort of those few seconds, he just can't sort of like lash out in a sort of like against any of the enemies. So that's pretty much all. So there was a dexterity saving throw will be knocked on its ass.
And then everybody else has advantage on it.
That's only in melee. So I was going to bring this up. That's only in melee. So if they're in melee, gets it, like say Pat's right next to you with his big fucking warhammer, then yeah, you probably want to go for the knock him prone and give him that. I think also there's a if it's a melee weapon and they're knocked prone, they get advantage and it's an auto crit. But that might be a class feature for some things. I think it might be a barbarian, and it's an auto crit if they're hitting them while they're prone on the ground. But if it's a ranged attack, so if Botty or Mouse is trying to hit with the bow, if you knock them prone, button and mouse would have disadvantage to hit it with a bow and arrow because it's a hard target lying on the floor. And
in that case, I'd push him away so that he can't take me, but they can still hit him.
Yeah, so you can push it 15 feet away, and then it also depends on
or if there's a cliff nearby.
Yes, definitely, you can use that all fall damage, knock him on the ass, and then there's what was I going to say? I just forgot what I was going to say. Then you can push him up to 15 feet away. Yeah, it also depends on, like, you looking at your target that you're dealing with as well. So it says a dexterity saving throw, strength saving throw. If you're dealing with a massive orc or a nord with, like, a great axe or something like that, then you probably might not want to go against strength because he's going to have a high strength modifier.
Yeah.
Or if it's a really small, another nimble Khajiit or another nimble Bosmer, you probably won't want to use the dexterity saving throw one. Excuse me.
So we've had a couple of listeners in the YouTube chat. So.
Oh, hey guys, thanks.
Hello. One came and went, and we have another one. Danger Gamer 654 is there right now, I think. So, hello. I've been sort of monitoring the chat a little bit.
Hey man, thanks for joining us. We're just we have a campaign running, and the guys in our party have just leveled up to level 3, and we're just going to go through some stuff because so for some of them it's their first time playing D&D. This is my first time not only playing D&D but first time DMing and first time playing as well. So we're just trying to get things straight in our head before we get into our next session with level 3.
Well, for a first time playing and DMing, you're doing a pretty amazing job.
That's an awesome story.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
so one of the
on the YouTube there, if the chat scrolled off, it is an adaptation of Skyrim. So
yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Now so I had two other options to go with. I could have. One of them was also good, and one of them is questionable. So as a monk, you can choose the way of the shadow. Which is essentially a ninja type character. It increases your stealth and sneakiness. So
there's some great things. You get very into sort of like a very well trained rogue, but you don't have probably the range of abilities that a rogue would have. So a rogue has got he's got his cunning actions and his expertise, so he can really specify exactly what he wants to do and what he's really, really fucking good at. Whereas a Way of the Shadow monk is very sneaky and sort of like he can hide in the shadows and things like that. But he still
create his own shadows.
Yeah. But he can't was a break into locks. He hasn't got proficiency with lock picking tools.
Right.
Excuse me. He doesn't get sneak attack, so he doesn't get sort of like bonuses to damages when he's in stealth. It's only that he can get from place to place without people finding that he's there. So if he wants to go somewhere, get in and out undetected, then he can. But if he wants to go in there and then sort of like do some damage and sort of like take some creatures out, he still doesn't get any bonuses to doing the damage in there. So
they do get a little bit of they get minor illusion cantrips.
Yes, you get a little bit of magic casting in there. And then you have Way of the Four Elements, which I think is really nice. You get some spells, and they'll get like really cool names as well. So
so the challenge on that though is that the spells come at a very high price.
Yes. Yeah, you're losing all your key points there to do Let's see, chapter 10, because 5th level. As I say, oh yeah, elemental discipline. So, it goes on for ages here, so we can just skip all of this. There's a lot of
I'm not
stuff.
doing that.
There's a lot of, are all of the character classes, the whatever, school or whatever you want to call it, each one has a different name for it, but all the last one all seem to be, if they're non-magical characters already, that there's a chance for them to gain some sort of magical ability. Is that pretty much the case for all the classes? I haven't read through all of them.
Yeah, pretty much. The only one that probably hasn't would be the fighter.
Oh,
I
okay.
would say. I think that the fighter would have to multi-class to gain some spells. I think there is a bit about the fighter where there's a certain excuse me, feature that they can choose. Yeah, so it would be martial archetype, but I don't think champion, battle master, maneuvers. Oh, you can there it is, Eldritch Knight. So
okay,
you can choose to be an Eldritch Knight, which looked very, very complicated.
yes.
So nobody go with that, please.
And nobody knows what Eldritch means anyway, so that's why it's complicated.
Yeah. Awesome. So after Paladin, not Ranger, we have
Rogue.
The Rouge.
If you don't, guys, I'm just going to run and get a drink of water because my throat is killing me.
I'll let Rogue Ray.
For a second. Thank you.
Actually, yes, I'm going to take a quick break myself, so just give me a sec. I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll play the do 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 do. Oh my.
Okay, I am back here, and we have another person. Hello. Pardon me, Rexo, I guess. So Ray, I'm, the way of the open hand. Do you have? Can you practice the 3-claw death punch?
No, I think it's the 5 claws.
5-claw death punch. Okay.
Like I did with the log at the inn.
Right. Yeah. Just to clarify, I missed something when you said when he set you on fire. You missed what were you talking about that Colin was sort of implying that you figured out? I didn't.
So at the end of that episode, he he told the story of this vision that I was having because I had gone into meditation to get my key points back. And so he started talking about this meditation that I was having, that I saw this vision, and it was me walking down a road, and off to the left was this deep, dark woods with, scary sounds coming out of it. And off to my right, I saw a vision of my brother, and straight ahead was was my master, and he was calling to me to come. And so, since my character is supposed to be, steadfastly searching for his brother, I thought that, I need to follow my brother. So I started going down that direction, and then Colin, started talking about all this, all this elemental, damage that I started taking, going down that road. And all of a sudden it dawned on me what he was doing, because we hadn't talked about it at all. I had no idea. And so it was once I realized what it was, because he was like, "Are you sure that's the way you want to go?" and so I'm like, "Oh,
I'm pretty sure
crap."
I was more subtle than that.
Well, yeah, you were, but that when it hit me upside the head, that's what it was. It sounded like to me, was like, "Hey, dummy."
Yeah, I'm really bad at picking up on things like that, so I'm not surprised I missed that one. I'm sure I've missed a few that Colin's thrown my way too. I know there was. You mentioned one thing when I bought that whip and misused it. You said something about something coming up, and I'm sure I just breezed right by that as well.
I'd say that would be in a while. So
yeah,
you're not in the right location for getting anything out of that.
Well, speaking of that, we're about to talk about Mouse anyway, right? And
I just wanted to say one thing about going back to the monk, is that finishing a short. You just said it, Ray. Finishing a short rest. So with only an hour's rest or an hour and a half's rest, a monk gets all its key points back. So keep that in mind for if you are going to go with your monk, is that after only a short rest they get a lot of abilities back, whereas like Pat, lots of his stuff that he can do, and the more powerful stuff that Botty can do, they can only redo again after a long rest. Whereas like Mouse and Jaquai can pretty much, after an hour or two, can go out there and go again and do as much damage as they always do. So we're getting into the rogue, and the rogue, starting out first level, got expertise, which is awesome. You get to double your proficiency bonus for certain skills. And so you can choose whatever they will be. So either expertise in stealth, expertise, what your skills here? Acrobatics, athletics, deception, performance, persuasion, sleight of hand.
Well, Mouse has acrobatics, deception, investigation, perception, sleight of hand, and stealth. That's what I chose with the extra 2.
And then you can but you have to choose 2 that you add your expertise to. You don't have to reveal what 2 you chose.
Right.
You also got sneak attack and thieves cant, which is basically if somebody a thief, somebody in the thieves guild that we're going with for our campaign. Mm-hmm. Shadow marks, so you can recognize thieves cant if it's written in a message, and you can also read and recognize shadow marks that have been placed about Skyrim, and probably the rest of Tamriel. I would say, I think it's pretty universal.
I believe it is, yes.
So, and then at level 2 you got cunning action, which we were
pretty powerful, actually.
Yeah, we were a little what should we call it? I didn't know exactly what you could and can do. As sort of like, you can do this and then you can do that, but no, you can't do this and then you can do that. So it was back and forth and cunning action. But basically, You can take your bonus action at the end of each of your turns in combat. This action can be used only to take the dash, disengage, and hide action. And just reading it again, it's changed what I thought it gets. You can take a bonus action on each of your turns in combat. This action can be. I thought for a second there, I thought it said at the end of combat, at the end of your turn.
No, it's each turn. It's always confused me though. It says you can take. It uses the article a bonus action, right? So is the wording subtle there, or is it just the way they wrote it? Because I mean, you get a bonus action anyway, right? So
no, yeah, this is you only get one bonus action, so
Right.
you can only do one thing
Right.
after your action.
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah. Good time. I was going to say, did you get an extra attack?
Because it seems almost like it's saying that, so you make your attack, and then you can use cunning action to take a bonus attack. You take your bonus attack, and then you can use the cunning action to
Right. That's one interpretation of it. That's why I'm saying you can take a bonus action. So is it it's more than just your standard bonus action, right?
No, you can take a bonus action, which is one of these three. So,
right. So it has to be a dash, disengage, or hide.
Right.
Yeah. From
But
these.
it can be taken at any time.
Yeah.
But so couldn't you then so attack one character, use the bonus action from that turn to dash to the next character, use your bonus action to hit them,
Or you're in melee and you use your bonus to disengage, so you don't incur the attack of opportunity, right? And then use.
That's the key use of it, is to use it to be able to disengage,
right,
so that you can't be attacked.
as your standard bonus action. I guess that's the question, Colin. Is it because otherwise it just makes it kind of just like any other. It doesn't really make it special, right?
Right.
Well, no, because there's only two people who can disengage, which is used to.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So anybody else, when they're in combat with somebody, if it was Luke or Buddy, if they were in melee with somebody, they would have to use an action to disengage from them.
Right. Okay.
So that means they would lose. Seeing as they only have one attack, that means they would lose their attack. So what it's offering you there is that you can go in, you can attack, and then you use your bonus action to disengage. And the way it's more powerful than what Jaquai has is that Jaquai has to use a bonus action and a key point to disengage.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's why a rogue is so good at this, is because he gets in there, does his damage, disengages, and gets away.
Yeah,
and then
attack, it can be quite powerful, right? I mean, you could.
Yeah, and then you're using your sneak attack, so you're hoping that you're just one hit, because although you're level 3 now, you're not going to be going up against dragons or something like that, like legendary dragons. So you're not going to go in there and it's got like 500 hit points. So you disengage and then stuff like you have to do that like 1,000 times.
Right.
So you're only going to go up against probably other humans, other creatures like that, and then the odd bear and Draugr, things like that. So one or a couple of other hits, and then then a sneak attack from you. Then it's pretty much over. Or you can go in there and sort of like, I think with a good crit attack, you can one-shot most things.
Well, of course, the way Mouse rolls.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
It's
trip over and stab himself in the leg.
Yeah.
Use disengage and his arm falls off instead of So.
And then also the hide action is probably the best because nobody else can do that.
I haven't used that yet. That's an interesting one. I haven't.
So what you can do is that if you get caught in a situation, and it's got to be someplace that you can hide. So you can't. It's not Skyrim. You can't just have a high enough stealth. You can't just crouch down and then instantly go into the stealth. You're not instantly hidden. But if you're in a room and so if you want to use, so what you can do is that you can use your bonus action to hide. So you can use your movement. So the guy, whoever you're fighting, one Droger standing there, and you're in a room behind some crypt. It's got some crypts. It's got some tombstones. It's got like rocks has falling down from the ceiling, or it's got a partition, a wall, or something like that. You can move, and then you use your bonus action to hide. I'll ask you to roll a stealth check, and if the stealth check is higher than his active perception, and so he can't see you, that means you're hidden. And
which means I can use sneak attack.
And then you can use sneak attack on the attack.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense.
So it's still, you only get one bonus action. So you can't use your offhand attack and then use cunning action to use another bonus action to be able to step away. Yeah.
Okay.
There is certain spells people can cast on you that could give you that. You don't get 2 bonus actions, but someone can cast haste on you. That means it doubles your speed and gives you an extra action. So that means you can attack, and then use your bonus action. Things like that.
So a question of then on mechanics then. So so this hide would work better probably with a ranged attack, right? So I attack with a bow, or I make my movement, I attack with a bow, and then I use my cunning action to hide. Do I have to be standing next to whatever I'm hiding behind, or can I move to something to hide?
Yeah, you move to something to hide. So
yeah, okay.
If you attack something first and you're not hidden, you won't get sneak attack.
Right. Okay.
So you attack something with your bow, and sort of you hit it because you're 40 foot away. So you're too far to get in there with your daggers. So what you're going to do is you can attack it, see if you hit with an arrow. So then you're going to do like 6 damage or something. Then you can use your movement to jump down, hide behind sort of like a wall or a partition, or as I said, like a tombstone, or there's sarcophaguses that the Droger are in. I don't know what you would call those. Will there be a sarcophagus or those big black
sarcophagus works, yeah.
So you can get in, hide behind one of those, circle around, and if you roll high enough stealth, which you should do, being a rogue, you can get in behind it, then sort of like close the distance, and then if you can get in good behind it, then you're hidden, so you get sneak attack on your first attack, and then you can use your bonus action then to do your offhand attack as well. That won't get the bonus of a sneak attack, but your first one will, so you'll still get your 2 attacks with your daggers.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm still a little confused, but that'll work itself out.
It's probably gonna, the next couple of levels, you guys are gonna know your classes better than I do. So because I'm not reading past a certain point, or looking into them anymore. So
So now he also has to decide whether he's become part of the Thieves Guild, the Dark Brotherhood, or the College of Winterhold.
That's right. Yeah, and I've been going round and round about that. So at first I was thinking assassin because I can use the assassin has the disguise ability, but then I realized I have that proficiency already through my urchin background, which we didn't really talk about backgrounds yet at all with these characters. So and so that was a question I meant to ask you, Colin, and I cannot remember. Somehow I thought that, because I have it written down on my character sheet, that, and then I couldn't find your original email to me for the character. Did you give me a disguise kit?
Not that I remember, no.
I don't know why I have it written down. Somehow I thought I had one, but I have to go, or did I buy one? See, now I cannot remember, but at least I have the proficiency.
I got your thing.
Yeah.
And yes, tools. That's your proficiency.
Yep.
Thieves' tools and tools. That's your proficiency. Expertise, sneak attack. These count. Proficiencies. No, so you don't have one.
I don't have one, but I have proficiency in it because of my urchin background. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So I need to go buy one. if I want.
You can go buy one, or probably make one. Probably, you'd have to buy all the components for it, but and then we can sort of like stamp a a price tag on it. So you would go probably buy all the materials and then put it all together yourself.
That's up to you on how do you want to run that. I mean, I would just assume like because it
I
does.
don't think anybody in Full Crease is going to like sell a disguise kit. If you
No,
were
we're
in,
on our way to Whiterun, so I'm at some point
well, if you're in Solitude with the Bard's College, then yeah, definitely walk to Bard's College and go in there and buy yourself a disguise kit. But in Whiterun, there's not really. There's no actors in there. You might get some passing traders that might come past. Maybe some Khajiit traders. They would more than likely have something like that because they always want to keep like a vast array of stuff. So you could probably buy one from those. But as I said, the easiest way is to just say, I buy all the stuff and sort of like put it together myself.
Yeah.
Because you have proficiency in it, you know exactly what you need to be able to do it. So we'll just take the same money from you. And then you just put it yourself together.
Oh, I get it. That's a nifty way of taking care of it. Yeah. Anyway,
and I can give you a bag of fur the next time I groom.
And but people might say your beard looks suspiciously like your companion over there.
I've just got the vision of the most awesome eyebrows ever on a human being. I don't know why.
Right, yeah. Now wait a minute. That's not a very good disguise. You have whiskers. So anyway, and then I thought, well, maybe, but there's already enough, magic wielders in this group. So I didn't want to go down the arcane trickster route because, to be very honest, I didn't want to deal with that as well. So Mouse is, as I'm sure everybody suspected, going to take the thief archetype.
Sorry, did you see? I didn't hear what you said actually.
Yeah, you bang the microphone while you're talking.
And
the suspense is killing us.
The thief archetype. Did I bang the microphone? I'm sorry.
No, I did.
Oh, you did.
Let's see. So, thief archetype. So, yes. You hone your skills in the lossless arts, burglars, bandits, cut purses, and other criminal typically follow this archetypes themselves as professional treasure seekers, explorers, delvers, and investigators. Which I think keeps Mouse down to the ground.
Yeah, Mouse sort of sees himself as pretty much all of the above, right? I mean, he's very self-absorbed. So he could see himself as any one of these archetypes and being, absolutely the perfect example of each one of them. But I think his ego would not let him to take anything other than the thief.
So, let's see what you get. So starting at third level, you get fast hands. You can use a bonus action. Oh, here we go. We're going to complicate it even more.
Yeah.
Directed by your cunning action to make a dexterity or sleight of hand check, and use your thieves' tools to disarm a trap or open a lock. Take the use an object action.
Where is that? Oh, no, let's use magic. Where's that listed?
I think I sent a link to everybody. I found this useful little GitHub.
Oh, yeah, you did. Now I don't know if I saved it or not. Let me look in my
So use an object. So interact with a second object or use special object abilities. So you can interact with one object for free during your turn, such as drawing a weapon or opening a door. If you want to interact with a second object, use this action. Okay. So, you could open 2 doors, but it would cost you your bonus action. So if it's double doors, you'd use your action to open one door, and then you use a bonus action to open the other one. Okay. But there's probably more... better uses. Use an object would probably take a healing potion, maybe. So then you could probably take one and feed one to somebody.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and probably use the special abilities of objects, I would say. So if something was in your bag or was in somebody else's bag, you could use your bonus action to go into the bag to find the healing potion, take it out, and then use your action to feed it to like whoever is down. Hopefully not Luke, because if he's down, then pretty much you're all gonna die.
Pretty much.
So that one is good. You can also, so basically it's like trying to unlock something or disarm a trap while you're mid combat. I would say this would be that's where it would be most helpful.
Okay.
Or maybe even lock something.
Well, I mean, just in theory, if my action was to try to open a lock and I failed, I could use this as a second try, also, right?
You can do. The DC increases depending on how. I mean, if you roll like a natural one on the first one and you critically fail, that means you're breaking the lock pick inside the lock and like damaging the lock, so you're not going to be able to unlock it.
It's all over.
Yeah. But yeah, if you roll and you just sort of like kind of miss out, then yeah, definitely I would probably increase the DC just to be a dick. But other than that, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to use that. Let's see. Again, it's third level. When you choose this archetype, you gain the ability to climb faster than normal. Climbing no longer costs you extra movement. In addition, when you make a running jump, the distance you cover increases by the number of feet equal to your dexterity modifier.
So I didn't know about running jump when I read this. That's a new one to me. So, so that would also have meant that, for instance, in the battle where Mouse essentially spread a plague all over Skyrim, there was that wall, so I could have run to that, say 10 feet away, climbed it without incurring any, and continued to run another 20 feet. Is that what that essentially means?
Yeah, climbing would include your normal speed. So
But
it would
cost extra movement.
Yeah, it won't cost you any extra. So when you're climbing, it takes double your movement. So if the height that you want to climb is 10 foot high, that would cost you 20 foot of movement normally.
Oh, I see. So now it only costs 10. I get it. Okay. All right.
So if you're moving 30, that means you could move 10, climb 10, and then move another 10 for a total of 30 still.
All right. All right. And climbing faster than normal, what advantage does that give one in a tabletop game like D&D?
It depends on the situation.
Or is that just simply
I think that's the mechanism of, losing the premium for climbing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's all that is. All right. Running jump distance you cover increases by the number of feet equal to your dex. Okay. So that's not a huge amount, but it's
yeah. So jumping, I think I've got it here. So long jump is its cost is 5 foot per 5 foot jumped. So you cover a number of feet up to your strength score if you move at least 10 feet on foot immediately before the jump. So you'd have to run 10 foot at least, then jump. Let's see. It may involve a DC 10 strength check to clear a low obstacle.
okay.
Right. Yeah, so you could add your dexterity modifier to the amount of feet. Your dex is like +3, I believe.
+3, yeah.
Yeah, so you add 3 foot to how far you can jump.
Okay.
And then we get more stuff at higher levels. Looking at the assassin build, was starting at 3rd level. You are your deadliest when you get the drop on your enemies. You have advantage on attack rolls against any creature that hasn't taken a turn in the combat yet. In addition, any hit you score against a creature that is surprised is a critical hit. And that's your one-shot kill thing right there.
Right.
So, and then Arcane Trickster is a spells. And what did you get? At 3rd level, you can cast Mage Hand. And that's pretty much all you get.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, you get 3 cantrips.
And
3 spells. Again, you would probably be the same as the bard, so you would have fixed spells. You would choose 2
slots.
spells. You have 2 slots to cast, but you would 3 spells. So you would pick 3 spells, and you would have those free in the entirety of your level. And then every time you level up, you can swap 1 spell out for another spell. If
Yeah.
it turns out that it's not as handy as you thought it was.
Yeah, I looked at some of that. And I just decided it just didn't really fit with what we're doing and with mouse at all. So, I vacillated a lot between assassin and thief, but
yeah, if you're going to go for combat, you probably want to go with assassin. The thief helps you out a lot, but there's apart from the running and jumping thing, and then use your bonus action sleight of hand check. You're probably
I think
somebody's pocket.
The thief certainly fits Mouse. He's not a cold-blooded killer. He's just a fun-loving, trickster.
That's the way he likes to think of himself, anyway. Yeah, and I don't know. As far as level 9, we're leveling pretty slowly, so I wasn't sure, how far we'd go before we ended up at level 9. So I figured, well, this seemed like the better choice for me at this point.
And so from there, did you want to? Is there any other things we would say about Rogue or any of the other classes? Anything come to mind or anything?
Not at this point. I did want to ask. There's a couple of things that still, even having played a little bit, IRL on some of these games locally here and stuff. There's a couple of things that still I'm a little hesitant about. One of them is how much, and this is more of a game mechanic thing. How much talking can we do amongst ourselves during a battle? Because, for instance, a really good example is the last episode we did, because I really, really wanted to ask, especially Luke's advice about whether I should push that cauldron into the water. And I was trying to do something to stop it from spreading. And I first tried pouring that, the potion in there. It didn't do a darn thing. So that's the only thing that Mouse could think of at the moment. But he really wanted to talk to the other players about it. I don't know if that's considered metagaming or if that's considered actual role playing.
Well, it depends on which way you're going to. I mean, you can discuss other things with other players. So Victor and was it Pat and Ray and Andrew, you can all sort of like talk amongst yourselves a little bit, I would say. But if you're going to come up with like an entire strategy and it's going to take 10 minutes or something like that in the middle of combat, I would say, well, come on, it's you're in the zone, you're in the second. If you want to do it sort of like strategy wise, as in your players, your characters, then you would be able to ask a quick question, but they wouldn't be able to reply until their turn.
Okay. That's where I was going with that. Okay. So I couldn't have I don't remember what what situation Luke was in at the time, but Mouse has a great deal of respect for Luke, sees him as a sort of not a father figure, but this really strong, powerful, self-assured kind of figure. So he would have wanted to just sort of yell across the river there, should I do this? But
Yeah.
all right.
But yeah, was it? I think if you want to ask a question, like seriously question somebody, let's see, movement, action, grapple, shove, dash, disengage, escape, hold, hide, search, ready, improvise, reaction, and conditions. No, it doesn't say about in this thing anyway about interactions during combat. I would just sort of like but as I said, it's just like quick shouting out, and as long as it's only like 2 or 3 sentences long, you can do that while you're in the midst of your attack. You can also hold an action. So I think we've been over this, but you can hold an action, but you can't hold your movement or your bonus action. So, and to hold an action until a later date, to perform said action, you're using your reaction to do it. So you're readying to do it. So what you could have done was stand in front of the cauldron, and you're going to say, right, I'm going to quickly shout over to Luke. I'm going to say, do you want me to just dump this in the river? I would very easily have led that. And then you said, I'm going to hold my action until Luke replies and lets me know. And then you wouldn't be able to move, and you wouldn't be able to use a bonus action unless you used it in that space. Right. So you could sort of in that on your turn, you could have used your bonus action and your movement to get there. Then you get there and you say, right, I'm going to hold my action, and then the trigger is whatever Luke tells me. If he tells me to dump it, my action is going to be to push it. And then when it gets to Luke's turn, he would reply and he say yes or no. If he says yes, then you use your reaction on Luke's turn to dump it over.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, I wish I'd thought of that. And so does all of Skyrim.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, as I said, we're just starting out, so I don't mind these questions in mid-combat. The only issue is that I will apologize for that episode because everything went to crap. I was working off of 2 hours sleep or something like that for the past 2 days because of some neighbor's party going on, and had to go to work, come back, prep. So I was dog tired, and that whole
well, I thought it went really well anyway. So hey.
Yeah.
I kept on mixing up or missing people's turns. I kept on missing body and stuff, like passing over, and I think there was a point of where somebody damaged the opponent. And when I clicked onto it and sort of put in the value of the damage, I think I accidentally clicked on Lenny. So that's why Lenny went down, is because the damage that was supposed to go to the opponent went to Lenny, and Lenny went down. I was wondering, why is his health so low? And I think I confused it. And whoever done damage to the crocodile at the time done damage to. I put the damages and going to Lenny, and that's why Lenny went down. So there was a few things that went wrong through that combat. So if anybody's listening to the episode, which I still have to, because of all my PC issues, I still have to edit and add the music too. But I should get them out. I'm off tomorrow again, so I should get them done tomorrow.
Oh, good. Cool. Well, that covers most of that.
Did you have a preference? I wanted to talk about either monk or
Yeah, let's do just a quick thing. I don't want to get too deep into it. We've been going for a while, um, but let's go back to cleric and just talk about uh, your opinions on backgrounds and stuff like that for clerics. Because if I go join this game, which has changed considerably since I was playing it last. We I was playing First of all, I was playing a rogue. I was essentially practicing a little bit with a similar character to Mouse, and and then I went when we changed venues. We started playing at a local gaming store which opened up, and so I decided to try a ranger, and that was okay. But then for various reasons I couldn't go there on Tuesday nights anymore for quite a while. And when I got in touch with them again, I said, well, oh, cleric, all parties need at least one or more clerics, pick a cleric, but we're level 5. So I'm like, yeah, good Lord. I haven't taken a character above level 3 ever. So, um, a level 5 cleric knows a lot of spells. That's a fair amount of, so there's like 9 spell slots for a level 5 cleric, um, and 4 cantrips.
Yeah.
So that's a lot to absorb. So I thought, well, that's more than I think we want to even bother going into. So I on this discussion. So I thought I picked the nature domain because I liked the idea of that, and I picked Sylvanus as the god that I would follow. So that at least takes me to 3rd level. Uh, so so uh, so I guess then, so what are your opinions on clerics and building cleric characters?
Well, my own personal opinion is that with your background, I would go with Outlander instead of
Acolyte?
yeah, Acolyte, because Outlander, I believe it gives you proficiency with the herbalism kit. So with proficiency
Yeah,
with the herbalism kit, you can so you should be able, depending on your DM, you should be able to make healing potions for half the cost. So instead of paying 50 gold for a healing potion, you only have to pay 25 gold.
yeah. I have a little. It's several months old now, but because I believe somewhere I read that Outlander is a good background for a ranger too. So I think that's what I used for that ranger, but I only played him a couple times. So, but anyway, so yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. I think because most of the sort of the basic. I don't know I forget what was Luke's background, or is Luke's background as a cleric? Is he an acolyte?
He is an Acolyte, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That seems to be like the most common background for a cleric. But Outlander makes sense. All right.
Or is he an Outlander? Because he has proficiency in the herbalism kit, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I think I gave him Outlander. Yeah, so here we goes. Acolyte and Outlander. There was a couple of other things I liked about Outlander as well. So you also get your skill proficiencies of medicine and oh no, that's a hermit. Sorry, where's Outlander gone?
Hermit fits my idea of the character more, but I haven't read Hermit at all, so I don't know what that gives me.
There we go, Outlander. So Hermit's quite good because it also gives you proficiency with medicine and religion. So that means when you get your chosen proficiencies from your class, you can choose something other than medicine and religion, which you would already have. So you get a greater range of skills.
Hmm.
You get proficiency with the herbalism kit. You get one language of your choice. I think, depending on the DM, with our world, it's a little different with Skyrim because you don't have any extra languages, Mouse, because basically Common is basically Imperial and Ancient Nord that have kind of blended together and become Common. So
Yeah.
there's no Imperial language and there's no Nord language apart from Ancient Nord before it sort of like, melded with the needs and everything like that and became had the common language with the Imperials.
Right.
But Outlander, let's have a look here. Yeah, so skills proficiencies was athletics and survival. So that gives you proficiency with that. So if you're leading somebody through the forest and stuff like that, it gives you a good use of that. Dealing with what should we call it, to get
Yeah,
staff
that gets
hunting.
along with cleric a little better, doesn't it? As far as clerics are sort of battle mages, maybe kind of sort of like, I guess.
Yeah. What is it? You get one type of musical instrument, which is always horrible. Let's see. You have an excellent memory for maps and geography, and you can always recall the general layout of terrain, settlements, and other features around you. So you could probably difficult for them to get lost. So it's really good for a nature domain. Often considered rude and uncouth among civilized. You see, when you first came to me with cleric, I was and I was having a reread, and then I read what should we call it, the define domain, it's the knowledge domain. I was like, that would be Victor down to a T. I mean, you probably, as I said, you go with what you do, but you could be like a severe smarty pants. With the knowledge domain, you have access to spells like command and identify. So when the party comes across, I mean, they probably have a wizard, I would say, wouldn't they? So
I don't know. Yeah, it's been a long time, and I think there's even a new DM now, right? From what I gather. So I have no idea what they're doing. I haven't been back in literally months. So I have no idea where they are. It might behoove me just to go and observe a game before I even jump in. It's on Tuesday nights, but well, I'll consider knowledge, but I'm more.
I just like the look of knowledge, and it sort of like it kind of suited my view of views when we're talking about like mods and computer games and PCs and things like that. It's always like, you're the kind of go-to guy for.
I'm a pompous know-it-all, is what you're saying.
Not at all. We call it Tempest Domain. Nature Domain.
You promote the practical knowledge.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But with let's see. Nature Domain, you do get some really good spells. You're probably going to be wearing armor, so that probably wouldn't help you. Bark Skin is quite good, but if you have a if you have a wizard in your party, I believe you can cast Bark Skin on other people as a spell.
Okay.
And basically, it means that their their AC can't be below 16. And wizards can't wear armor, or else they cast spells at disadvantage. So that would be helpful to help out your wizard to keep them sort of like protected. And then at 5th level, you get plant growth and wind wall.
Yeah, those sounded good. I didn't read up on them, but they sounded good.
Yeah, wind wall is basically obviously it's a wall made of wind, but it blocks off people from getting to you without taking force damage, I think it is, and projectiles. So if you're you can hide from a barrage of arrows. So just cast wind wall. And I believe it's concentration, so you keep it up for like a minute or something like that, so nothing can get in for that whole minute. If your party is retreating or sort of like, they're advancing but trying to get to cover or something like that, you could use wind wall to protect yourself on your way in.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Yeah, well, I like definitely the suggestion for Outlander. Makes great deal of sense. So that's good. So what else? I guess I'm always afraid to roll for for
stats.
Stats, yeah, because I know
I love rolling for stats because sometimes you do get like Like he gets screwed. Like in Critical Role, the last campaign they were doing, was it the barbarian? He got a 6 for intelligence, so his character couldn't even read. So couldn't read or couldn't write, and yeah, he was very slow. But it kind of helped his, like, find the character of who the person was and things like that. The player loves that character, but he does believe that having that low intelligence stifled him a little bit.
Mm.
But it does make for, like, it was completely hilarious. Like he got towards the end of the campaign, he got a sentient sword, and the sword's intelligence was higher than his intelligence. So when he was having conversations with the sword, the DM's like, "Oh no!" As the sword, he just goes, like, after 2 minutes of talking with him, he just went, "Oh no!" like just such extreme disappointment. This is my new master. This is the person who wields me now. But
That's funny.
The sword did kill him in the end, so that was even better. He came back to life, but the sword managed to kill him.
So when you I mean, you have a point. Well, so tell me about rolling for stats then, because I think for the ones that I've done, I'll used the standard spread, which is what, 15, 14,
Yeah.
12, 11, 10 or something. So when you actually roll, are you rolling for a total number of points still?
Yeah, so you roll 4d6s, and you take the highest numbers for the highest number of 3,
Ah,
three of them. So whatever the 4 is, you take all the highest of 3, or whatever the 3 highest. Sorry, not the highest of 3. You take the 3 highest, and that's your stat. So it's awesome if you roll sort of like 4 6s, then you get 3 6s, then you get 18. Awesome. And then after you've rolled for your stats, then you add in your oh, that's what I was going to ask you. Did you choose what race you were going to be?
yeah, he's just gonna be human. So
Going to be human. Yes, you get a +1 to all of your stats. So you get +1 to strength, dexterity, charisma, because it's basically the human can go any which way.
so you could theoretically roll. I mean, if you were incredibly lucky, you could roll 4 6s 6 times. I mean,
yeah, that's why most DMs they want you to roll your stats in front of them. I don't know what your DM did. If they do get a character that shows up that has 3 18s, they're like, what, really?
Yeah.
So they don't believe you. So if you show up there with a character pre-roll, I mean, you can go in there with your was it the pre thing that's in the book? So the 50, 40, and this is what
I think that's what I would do if I was walking in with a character. I would simply use that. Yeah, that would make more sense. And then
and I mean, you could probably do most of your stuff and then wait till you get there and roll, but you're not going to know what your perception is or your intelligence modifier is or anything like that until you roll your stats. So it's up to you which way you want to do it.
Maxime just joined us and says hello. Cheers from Ukraine.
Oh, I don't know any Ukrainian, so hello.
Yes, you do. My mom was born in Ukraine, so.
No, I don't know any Ukrainian. I just don't know what the language is.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I just called it Ukrainian. What was I say? Yeah, I think we're nearly done. I'm afraid. Sorry, man.
Yeah, sorry, Maxime. We came at the end of our little thing here, but you can watch us when this gets when YouTube finally processes the whole thing. Yeah.
We had a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for the advice. I'm gonna work on that and see what comes out of it. I don't know if I'll have it ready for this Tuesday's game or not. But I may go and just observe and see if they draw me in. Anyway, But and I don't know whether they're switching off because the DM who I played with seems to be still involved, but he's not. As far as I can tell, he's not DMing anymore. I think he got tired of it. He wanted to just play. I don't blame him. Uh, so, uh, so cool. All right.
Is there anything you wanted to add, Ray or Jaquai?
No, I'm just I'm looking forward to playing around with a little level 3 action, just to kind of get used to that and see how all that works out. But you can definitely expect Jaquai to be coming full force 100% of the time. No more tactical retreats.
That sounds good. That's Mouse's domain anyway. Tactical retreats with poor rolls.
Well, just like you might get it's situational, I would say, because you get the bigger ones if you're standing toe to toe with them. Well, you do get some better stuff at. Let me just go back a second to Monk here. I believe it was Stunning Strike, but I don't know when you're going to get it. But literally, just like
and certainly the fight with the smoke monster, that was a case where the tactical retreat ended off paying off in a big way, so he didn't end up blind.
Yeah. And that was another
was able to move in and take a dart throw to finish it off.
Yeah, trying to think. Starting strike. Yeah, so 5th level. So that's when you get that. So you're a couple of levels away from it, but that just ruins fight. That does. It can cause like a boss fight to go terribly wrong for the DM with that stunning strike. So,
yeah, well, and plus you get the extra attack as well.
Yeah, you get that just before that, don't you? Yeah, same level.
Because 3 are just not enough.
One thing I did, I don't want to draw this out too much, but I was listening to I listened to an occasional podcast called what the hell is it called? It's a D&D show, but it's more of a how-to thing. Crit Academy, and they were doing a thing the other day, because somebody wrote a paper on skill challenges, which are a little more complex than skill checks. It's something that was in 4E, but was dropped for 5E. And somebody wrote a paper on the advantage of sort of pulling it into 5E on a modified basis. Do you know anything about that, Colin? Skill?
Not a thing. I'm like literally walked in at 5E.
Yeah.
I've been reading
just check it out if you want. It's an interesting concept because it's basically more like a series of skill checks that are, as you say, situational. So they're really designed by the DM, and often the DM will try to hide the fact that he or she is doing a skill challenge from the actual players, because it can sort of telegraph story elements and things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an interesting concept anyway. It's something to just for your great gaming mind to look into and chew on. Not that I'm suggesting we use them for 10 AD, but
I'm always looking for more things to expose on other you guys too. So.
Well, look at Crit Academy podcast and look for that particular episode. They are like uber nerds, by the way. I mean, totally uber nerds.
Yeah, I'll be in good company then. So.
Yeah,
I was saying to what's his name in Messengers. Yeah, I probably read the PHP PDF at least twice a week. Sort of like having a look through it, sort of like this feat would be cool to add to this NPC, even though it's totally against the rules and overpowered. it'll be awesome. So I'm going to do that. So.
Well, feats are another thing that we're going to have to talk about when we get to level 4, aren't they? Because that's something that is part of 5e, and we did talk about that briefly and said you said you weren't opposed to that idea.
Yeah, actually, I'm all for them. I think it narrows down a character. I mean, literally, if you have, I think, Luke has 19 strength, and he's a shield user, and I believe there's a feat that gives you 1 extra strength, so that would change his modifier from a +4 to a +5 in his strength checks. And it increases your sort of like your AC when you're wielding a shield. So that would be the most perfect feat for Luke. But then you have other characters that have like I think a 17 in one thing and a 15 in another. And if you add 1 to each of those, that gets them an extra +1 to like dexterity or charisma checks or something like that, which would be really helpful. So a feat wouldn't necessarily be right for each person, but I think when we do get levels go, I'm definitely I'm probably more in favor of feats than I am in sort of like, adding to your stats. So I think it would narrow down the character and give the character a bit more definition.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll start looking at those then, see what happens. And looking forward to the next. Have we scheduled sometime in early March? Is that our next 10 AD?
Yeah, let me just have a look at the character. I work all Sundays. That gives me 2 days off in a week. So, but I finish at 5 p.m., which is was it? That's 3 p.m. for you guys, isn't it? No.
Depending on the time of year, it's either noon or 1.
Yeah, noon or 1. Math and the alphabet, not my strong point. So March, so 3rd. So yeah, it's what, 10th? I know next roundtable we're looking at the 24th of March. So either the 10th or the 17th. 17th is St. Patrick's Day, so I really don't want to be dealing with you guys on St. Patrick's Day.
Alrighty.
That could be some interesting DMing.
It would definitely, but as I gave up drinking like 5 years ago, so whenever I have to be in a room with other people that do drink, it really gets on my nerves. So
Yeah.
I think I'll leave you guys to enjoy that weekend amongst yourselves. And so we'll probably go with either the 3rd or the 10th. I don't know how available that would be to you. If not, then we can always do it on the 31st, which also seems to be British summertime is looks like the clocks change.
Yeah, we're changing 3rd week of March. I think we're usually a week ahead of you in the change anyway. So it's coming. Last year was like the 11th, I think. But anyway, and Easter is early this year. I think it's the 21st or something like that. So, we'll be changing over around the same time. All right, I think we should do it sooner than later if we can. Maybe the 10th sounds good. If we can sort of tentatively schedule that. And Ray, we have to do maybe this week, some evening. We need to get some content out there for ASA, maybe a mod talk.
Sure.
We'll get Steven involved. So any particular evening that's good for you?
No,
I know nowadays. Yeah. I saw
I'll just
that
be
smile.
sitting around waiting for you to come online to do something. Yeah, no, it's I'm pretty wide open.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll be in touch. I'll see what Steven says, and then we'll.
Well,
we'll
I'm off on. As I said, I'm off tomorrow, but I'm off again on Friday. So if you decided to do it Thursday, oh no, you can't do it Thursday night. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, Thursday nights are the only time that I'm really booked up.
Oh, okay. All right. So I would love to have you join us for a mod talk, Colin. So tomorrow night is a possibility. Let's see how things transpire. Otherwise, we'll wait till the following Monday or something like that. So that would be good. And I want to try to do a game talk. See if I can get Jeremy fired up for a game talk. So. All right, sounds good. Ray, let us know if you get Sea of Thieves. Come crew with us. That'd be a lot of fun. Colin, get Sea of Thieves if you want to.
Mr. B just rolled in.
Oh, Mr. B, you just rolled in at the very end. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we're just winding down.
Well, welcome, Mr. B. I'm probably going to be installing your mod and Vortex in about 5 minutes, and trying to rebuild my Dex and Control character. I don't know how well that's going to go though.
Yeah, look for both of his mods because they affect different kinds of containers. So there's 2 of them for looting. I use both on my SE builds. So.
Well, luckily, the Nexus has a page that shows all your downloads and what date you downloaded them.
Oh, really?
Right. Oh yeah, that's handy.
I've never even looked at that. Huh.
Yeah. Just your settings, go there, and it's just showed me all the ones I downloaded in December. So they're all the ones that I downloaded for SE, and I can just download them all in order. But there's some I downloaded and then obviously didn't install, or installed and then changed and swapped out. So
yeah,
I'm trying to remember which ones they were.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying Vortex.
I didn't enjoy it for that long. I'm going to see how well it goes this time round.
Yeah. Well, if you do decide to give MO a shot, just let me know. I have a couple of suggestions for the way to set it up.
So. Oh yeah, it's Mod Organizer 2 now, isn't it?
Well, I still use both. I still use 1.3.11 for my LE for my legacy build, and then 2.1.5 I think it is. It's now in the latest version of the 64-bit version for SE, but it uses that stupid, I think it's stupid anyway, hateful paradigm that Microsoft created, the % app data, so that everything is supposed to, if it has that % app data tag, I guess, Ray, that's not my language, that's more your language than mine, but anyway, if it has that tag, then it goes to your user / file. So everything then Mod Organizer saves will go into your C drive under your user file. And in a case like yours and mine as well, with very small, just basically operating system drives for your C drive, and then a much larger either partition or a separate drive for other stuff, that can really clog your C drive. So if you use Mod Organizer 64-bit, you want to change some of the paths in Mod Organizer and get things moved where they belong into the directory where Skyrim is.
I couldn't change where Vortex went, so Vortex went into the SSD.
That's surprising. There's no, that's rude.
And then was it? I don't know whether I can move it to the D drive easily or safely enough, but I think I'll leave it alone for the moment until I get everything installed and see if it goes. But all the mods are going into the D drive.
Good. Yeah. So you can change the paths for that and your profiles and everything else. I would also suggest if you want to give it a shot, a lot of people use Bethany. It's awesome. And it's BETHINI. It's available on the Nexus. It's a INI file automator, which gives you a lot of agency in how to set it up, but it's really good. And it's very sensitive to profiles. If you can give it the right path for all your profiles, it'll set up separate INI files for all your different profiles. It's really good. Give it a shot.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm not too interested in going too overcomplicated because
it's not. It's
one goes, you sort of
yeah, really.
You just want to leave it one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I'm going to go with. Just play one playthrough and then just delete everything and then sort of start up a new character.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we better end this before.
Yes, sorry, I keep.
You guys are
My
going
apologies.
to. I'm gonna take up all your time because it's coming up to 3 o'clock. You guys do. It's like almost 2:30, I think, isn't it?
It's 12:22 here.
Ah,
so we're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sorry. I keep talking. So Thanks a lot for all the advice. Much appreciated.
You're welcome. And thank you very much for adding your content to this so we can nerd out in our on my D&D sort of like, nerd stuff.
And Mr. B, sorry you came in late, but listen to the rest of it if you want. And we'll see you some other time.
Yeah, see you on the streams. Thanks, Ray.
Yep. See you later.
See you, Ray.
Okay.
Thanks, Colin.
Yeah.